treatment, and then we continue it after the treatment. And we do that with various different modalities, like I said. So we use functional medicine. We use the best of nature and science combined to get the best possible results. Functional medicine, it means that we're using nutritional therapies, food, things like that in almost in a medical way to heal you. To get you prepared. And so we use food a certain way. We use certain nutritional supplements and nutraceuticals a certain way. We do a detoxification of the body when you come, which is not a rigid elimination diet where when you think of a detox, you think of a juice fast or things like that. No, we do a really intense nutritional cocktail, an IV cocktail, and the major antioxidants we utilize in that cocktail, and then we use a suppository to follow that up to get the liver detoxing. And then we also we combine that with certain mineral therapies, which are really important for the stem cells to get them revived and to get them going and to keep regenerating once they're in the body, administered back into the body. And also we use oxygen therapy to rejuvenate the body, to get the stem cells in their most rejuvenated, most active state, and for the body to prepare to receive the stem cells also. And in some cases, we use hormone therapies to prepare the body also. And so we combine so many different modalities, again, using the best of nature and science to stimulate the body to heal itself. And so that's what makes us different from most other clinics around the world, is that we have been specially trained to be able to perform all of these other adjunctive therapies along with the stem cell therapies to have the best possible results.
Interesting. So you mentioned that I don't have to be, or a patient doesn't have to be in Guatemala the whole time. You mentioned that they have a pre-session and post-session. So how long does it take to actually be in Guatemala for the treatment?
For the treatment itself, we like you here about 15 to 17 days. And that allows us to complete the treatment fully. One of the things that that actually adds to that time is if we're using, for instance, hyperbaric chamber therapy, it's much more feasible to do it while you're here. It's less expensive. If you go back to, say, the US or Canada or some other part of the world that you live and continue that type of therapy there, it can cost hundreds of dollars per session. And that actually brings me back to your question as to why Guatemala. One of the reasons also that we chose Guatemala is it allows us to perform the therapies at a much lower cost than most other clinics around the world because of just the standard of living, and it allows us to perform the therapies without cutting any corners and without compromising the treatment at all. We can keep our prices down. And so going back to the length of the treatment, hyperbaric chamber therapy, for instance, we can perform that while you're there in that 15 to 17 days. We also use exercise with oxygen therapy, which is another option, and that is what actually prolongs the therapy itself in the number of days that we would need you there. So if you can perform those back at home, you don't need to stay that long, but that's what prolongs the stay so much. And also the fact that we like to just keep tabs for a couple of weeks on our patients and see how it's going and do that follow-up while they're still here.
So it's an overall treatment. And what will be the results that I will be expecting, or a client or a patient will be expecting after this?
We have seen in 100% of our patients, we have seen some degree of positive results. We have seen patients having results from perhaps this much in a very short time, perhaps this much. It depends on the condition. It depends on the patient and how sick they have been, their age. There are a lot of different factors. We have patients that have come in for simply one treatment and they never needed to come back because one treatment was enough. There are other patients that saw results after one treatment and said, "Hey, Dr. Zahra, I want more. I want to see more. I'm so happy with the results and I want more." And so they may come back after a year for a follow-up treatment. But I can tell you and safely say that 100% of our patients in varying degrees have seen positive results. So we're really happy to report that. And we believe it's just the fact that we have the follow-up, we have all of the adjunctive therapies and modalities that we incorporate into the treatment. And also, I need to also mention that I didn't previously, we ensure that the patient is emotionally and psychologically ready to receive treatment, because we believe that 50% of getting better is attitude and that positive outlook. And if you have that emotional and psychological well-being that we incorporate into the treatment, also that completes the circle. If that's there, we can assure you that you will have positive results, because it's mind over matter. Also, it's such an important factor. So we incorporate all of those modalities in our treatment, which are so important. Because there are some patients, Francis, there are patients sometimes that have been so sick for so long that they don't know how to feel good. They don't know how it feels to feel better. So we prepare them psychologically and emotionally also, and that's really important.
It's really important to actually understand also that it's not just a one treatment thing. I mean, it can be multiple sessions over a period of spans, like you were mentioning. Maybe a year after, you need to come back and do another treatment. And that might be another question of a patient. Do I need to do it just a one-time fix-all, or do I have to do an overall treatment over time?
You know what? We have seen patients, for instance, like an autoimmune condition, we have seen patients with one treatment be in remission, and we haven't seen them come back. And we do follow-up, so we keep tabs on our patients for some time, and they're still going strong. There are times where we see them, and then, for instance, for a degenerative condition, for instance, like a sports injury. Most patients, we just need to see one time. We do injections one time and they're great. And then maybe from the process of normal wear and tear and aging after years, they want to come back for another treatment. And that's another scenario. For instance, in our autism patients, we see them so young. We've never seen autism patients have to come back. And they just continue to grow and just prosper, and they just go, it's just up from there. And so we've never seen autism patients come back. And so it depends on the disease condition. It depends on the disease. It depends on the age of the patient. It depends on how debilitated they were when they first came in. So it depends. And we never say to a patient that, oh, you need to come back. It's their prerogative. And as to what results they want to see and what they want to achieve, for them, it's very subjective. For some patients, one treatment, hey, I saw the results I want and I'm happy. Other patients, I want to see more, and so it's so many factors are at play.
Yeah, it's amazing how our body is so adaptable and kind of wired to be able to actually heal itself, but we need to actually make those changes and tweaking of the things, the things like you're doing. And when I came across the stem cells, that fascinated me, because I always believe that having a really good diet and having a really good living and now incorporating this is something that you need to do, basically as a maintenance as well. Dr. Zahra, is this treatment, or I know it depends on what the treatment it is, but what's the average cost of a treatment like this?
Really good question. So because we're in Guatemala and in Istanbul, in Guatemala, we can keep our prices really fair. We range, depending on what we're treating, and the degree of the treatment, what modalities we incorporate in terms of IVs or intrathecal, a local injection. Sometimes we do all of them, depending on the condition. Sometimes we need a hospital setting. Sometimes we don't. It depends on various different factors, but we're looking at an average of somewhere between $18,000 and $22,000 for the treatment, and that includes everything. Doesn't include travel, but it includes everything that we would do at our clinic: pre-treatment, treatment itself, and post-treatment.
Okay, excellent. So for a patient coming from the U.S., the only thing that they have to add into that will be the airfare and probably hospitality. But besides that, I know some of the prices, especially there, skyrocket. Depends on the treatment or the illness that they actually have. Oh, Dr. Zahra, thank you so much.
Sorry,
I think that
Francis.
Yes.
Sorry. I just wanted to add that 18 to 22,000 would be a more degenerative type of disease or condition. We go as low as about 13 to 15 for sports injuries, things like that, that aren't so involved, where we're not doing necessarily an IV, where we don't necessarily need a hospital setting, and so the prices can vary in that way. So I think the highest that we can top it off is at about $22,000 for a more degenerative.
Yeah, and I think that we're gonna have another session with you, and next time talking about the different illnesses that you treat. Like right now, we talk about sports injuries, which is a very fairly common thing. Nowadays, we see a lot of sports figures getting injuries because of the turf or because of the requirements that they have. And you also mentioned autism, but I see in your website, and you also have other treatments. And in fact, when I was actually reading stem cells, it basically can cure anything, and that our body actually throws at us. So in our next session, probably a lot of people would like to see it. We will be talking about the different things in more in depth. What will happen, let's say, on the sports injuries, or what will happen on autism, which is becoming more of a mode, and now with children. I saw the statistics: 1 in 4 actually can have, or will have, or do have